Well, hello. I thought it might be fun to show you the progress. We planted our raised beds October 8th, and you can see all the new little seedlings into the 3 different raised beds. And then I'd like to show you what happened in that time until today. So this is Sandy at Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona, and welcome to my channel. Now, about a week later, there was some really good growth already. And I was really surprised, but I do believe it's because the nights are so warm. But then, by today, it is just amazing, the growth. And it's not even a month time has gone by, and the peppers are bigger, the tomatoes, the cabbage, the broccoli, the lettuces we have been picking and picking and picking. I have flowers on my tomato plants, and all the flowers in the towers have really had some good growth. Now, the only thing that has not come up, which makes me sad so far, are my potatoes. Have still not come through the soil, so I might have to be digging in there. The other thing is I had some California poppies growing in there, but it just got too hot for them. They have a lot of sun in that tower, and I'm just going to have to put something else that's a little bit stronger. But the broccoli is just amazing. Now this lettuce, we just picked the leaves on the outside, and it just keeps coming and coming. It's very tasty, and I like dark lettuces anyway. But there's about 4 tomato plants now that have flowers. So I am continually vibrating the back of those flowers. Most of the time I use an electric toothbrush to vibrate those. But my whole little section, 3 towers, 3 raised beds, has really grown. Now behind the house, this was October 11th. I got the beds, the areas all ready, and I started planting that day. And the first 2 beds basically have herbs in them, but I decided to plant some radishes and carrots, but I ended up having to put some chicken wire over top of it because the doves kept landing and they were picking off the leaves of the radishes that were coming up. So then I covered the beets also. And the beets are in between some other herbs, cilantro, chives, parsley. And they hadn't started picking at those, but I just didn't want them to. So I just decided I would just keep it the way it is. The cucumbers are coming up. They have true leaves on them. Pretty soon they'll start climbing that little fence. And I saw the very first signs of my peas. The Swiss chard is starting to take off. Calendulas are flowering. And the cabbages, you can see, they're not quite as big as the ones in the raised beds, but they didn't get planted for almost a week before I planted the cabbages, so they're a little bit different in size. The peppers are really starting to grow. I've pinched off the tops so that they will spread out with more branches. And the tallest corn that I have so far is just over a foot. So we'll see how that does, and I will have to hand pollinate them. Now these tomatoes back here haven't been in the ground as long, and I did have 2 other tomatoes, but those were the ones I dug up and brought over to my dad's house. But the broccolini here is just spectacular. In fact, let's go to the side so you can just see that growth since October 11th when I planted those ones. The cauliflower is coming along, except for that tiny little one. It hasn't died back, but it isn't got the growth that the rest of them do. The fig tree is adding some more leaves. The okra has its true leaves on there. I think I'm going to have to thin that out. And the pumpkins are starting to grow. And I have 4 different hills of pumpkins or squashes, and they're really starting to take off. So I would bet in a week or 2 we will really see some great growth on those. Now I spray painted the little swimming pool. The dogs didn't like going in there, and so I'm going to drill some holes. I'm going to plant some onion plants that should be coming sometime this week or the beginning of next week. And there's a couple more pumpkins right here. And it won't be long before those pea plants will be going up my tower, but the garden is really starting to take shape. and I'm really liking the way it's working. The days have been about 90 degrees. At night it's been in the 60s. There's a little watermelon that finally decided it was going to start to grow. And the cantaloupes are starting to grow. They have some true leaves on them. And I'm going to let those come out underneath the tower, and there's a lot of area that they can just sprawl on there. Now around some of the fruit trees, you can see where it just got watered so it fills up the trench. I planted some nasturtiums and some of them seeds. My daffodils haven't come up through, but they are buried very deep. And my blood oranges with my little hammock have been working. But you can see why we had to cover the fruit trees. The birds were pecking at those leaves, so we put some bird netting over top of them, put 3 stakes around each one, and then I just capped them and put the netting. I have a few plants that are starting to come up, some zinnias. Some of the Swiss chard is coming up. My loofahs have not broken through yet, and the tomatoes have not broken through. But it's just a matter of time. They have only been there not even a week, and so it's okay. But one of the pumpkins is starting to come up, and I think I'm going to put those by the fruit trees. But everything is just really growing. In less than a month's time, we can really see some good growth, and I'm extremely satisfied with what is happening so far. But as always, like, subscribe, share with the world. I hope you like this update on the garden in Arizona so far, and I hope you have a spectacular day.